there's a saying, right? There's a lot of people that have motion but no movement. They're doing a lot. They're moving around. They have big fanfare and all these things, but nothing is changing. There is no progress in their life. They have a lot of motion but no movement. There is no change. If you can't manage your time, if you can't manage what's worth investing into, and this is even deeper than just like, the aspects of self-wealth or self-goodness or self-love, all these things which are important, but it's even the so I think the whole goal should always be to improve. Like every year, like that whole new year, new me, I think that's a real thing. I think we should authentically look at this coming year as something different. And that's the only way we ever create the person we want to be and do the things that we have to do to be that person. But this is the biggest trick. This is the trade-off. This is what people fail to ignore, that you don't have to change absolutely everything and be this absolute different person. There's just small changes, these little things that we're going to talk about, these little shifts that you make that will make you the best possible version of you. Like being able to just sit and just change little things that you know are going to create a huge trajectory change for you. That's all that matters. And before we start into that, I need you to focus on this. This is what I'm trying to focus on, at least. 2024, where did I mess up? Like, what are the things that I was not happy about? What were the things that I failed at? What are the things that I thought were going to be terrible that weren't that bad? Like, I think that's another factor to that we don't realize that, yes, sometimes we mess up. Sometimes things are bad in that moment. But the outcome of it, the later on thing, isn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. And we fixate on that particular thing being the culmination of everything we've done. Well, in this case, you can see it, you can look back, right, and reflect on it. So what is something in that time frame that you're going to change, that you would have changed, you would have done differently? What are situations that you put yourself in, or relationships that you were in? What are mistakes that you made? Whatever those things are that you were in 2024 that aren't coming in with you into this coming year, that aren't changing things this coming year, that aren't different. And I think that we struggle to change is because we struggle to reflect. Like it's hard to become something new when you don't see the mistakes you've made before, when you don't look at the past and you don't accept the fact that those things happened, that it's real, that it was a part of your life, and don't make those a center point of everything you do. So before we talk about progress and growing in 2024, you need to 25, you need to identify the things in 24 that you didn't do, the things that were a mistake, things you could have done better, and then be able to say, okay, well, this was a landing point, something I grew from, something that I'm no longer in. So let's dive into that. You have to get smart. You have to have actual goals. There's that whole saying, those that fail to plan to fail. Like if you don't have an actual goal, if you don't know, and again, it doesn't have to be huge. It could be something small. It could be something I want to get done in the next 3 months, example. And we break up our time frame that way. So we know that I need to do this particular thing for my own good, for my progress, for my change. And you feel so much better. You you release endorphins in your body when you establish goals and achieve them. Even if they're small goals, it's not about perfection. It's about just getting these little things done, because you're going to feel better and your body is actually going to be focused towards completing other goals, other tasks. This is how you make yourself motivated. This is how you grow to be the best version of you. This is what pushes you to actually be this version that you can envision, that you know you can be. But if you don't have things set, you're going to make sure that you never reach those things. So authentically sit down and make achievable, relevant goals, like things that you can actually get to. I often do this myself, where I have little goals that I'll make, little sustainable, easy goals to reach, and then one like super difficult, out of the way goal that it's a dream that I can work towards, but I understand that it's probably not going to happen, but I'm going to still make the work to try to get there. Why? Because it becomes a lot easier to build a routine to be towards that thing, and the easy attainable ones are the ones that are going to make me feel good, are going to release those endorphins in me. So set up those goals in a way that it's attainable, things that are genuine, and we need to be able to just put that down somewhere you see it often. Why? Because it's going to be what motivates you. It's going to be what motivates you to be different this year. It's going to motivate you to grow this year, to hit those next goals, to hit that thing you need to hit. Because if you don't see it, you won't remember it. You won't believe it. Yes, it's easy to do that when you're motivated, but those are things that are going to keep you consistent. So developing actual attainable goals and putting that together and being able to reflect on it, this is going to change how you live this next year. Because if you're doing this, if you really want to change, you're going to be on top of it. It's going to be the one thing that's going to push you to consistently reach that goal. And again, small goals, doesn't have to be huge, but it's just things that help your body develop. It helps you change, and we have to be able to dive into that. And this leads into the next point, which is develop a growth mindset. So here's the thing that so many people struggle with. We struggle with this negative cognitive bias that we have for ourselves. Like we think that we are the worst version of us, that we're this bad thing, that we're horrible, because it's so easy to talk negatively about yourself. In fact, it actually is scientifically proven that your brain is more receptive to negative thoughts or negative conversations or negative actions opposed to the positive. Why? Because positive requires you to go against what's commonly known in society, what's commonly pushed society. Think about it. Society does not push positivity. It doesn't push growth. It doesn't push change. It always pushes the worst of the worst version of anything and of everyone, because it pushes this whole competition thing. And again, competition is not bad. I don't want to disclaim that, because it is good. It's something that is a catalyst that pushes us. But unfortunately, it also causes this ripple where people want to bash and destroy other people so that they can feel some way better about themselves. The truth is that happy people don't do that. Like genuinely joyful people who have positive mindsets, that are in this growth mindset, they're not looking to hurt other people, but just they know that they're good. They know that they're not the mess of this world, that they are the goodness that they are. So they focus on that. So developing a growth mindset is this year. Every time you have to speak negative to yourself, every time you want to tell yourself how bad you are, or how much of a mess you are, or how much of a mistake you are, give yourself grace. Give yourself the space to say, okay, I messed up somewhere, and that's okay, but I'm no longer there. I'm not that person. I'm not in that same place. And then produce something out of that. Because what happens is that your brain is now conditioned to understand that, yo, I messed up. I made a mistake, but I'm not that thing. So you're not going to stay grounded in something that's horrible, but in fact, you're going to plant yourself somewhere else where you're going to grow and flourish. So building this mindset that allows you to understand that you're not your mistakes, but you're everything good that you are made to be. Changing how you perceive things, from going from that commonly placed negative mindset to this positive reality of saying, okay, I made a mistake, I messed up, but I'm no longer there. Allowing yourself to have this growth mindset is going to foster resilience and continuous self-improvement, because you are not looking to destroy or to kill. You're looking to grow and to build. And that's the difference. Being able to be genuinely good helps you change that. And then move it to this next point, where it's prioritizing health and well-being. And this is a struggle for a lot of us, myself included, right? I've been trying really hard to be consistent and have a good sleep schedule and eat well and go to the gym consistently. And I had a good run and it fell off. But why? Because I didn't have a plan, right? I ideally said, okay, well, I was just going to do this and that's it. And I'm going to just show up and wake up, whatever, and be in the gym. That it didn't work that way, right? Because there wasn't a plan. There wasn't anything that was consistent. There wasn't anything that was attainable goals. It was over the top, trying to hit home runs always. Creating something that builds a healthy lifestyle is going to change how you feel about you. Like literally, like the more you work out, the better you eat, the better you sleep. All these things are things that actually help you feel better. The hormones that you release in your body, the endorphins, actually, same thing when we're working out, is what's going to make you feel joyful, right? It's going to help you have this natural chemical balance. What happens is, for a lot of us, that we have chemical imbalances, right? Sometimes it's not just that you speak negative to yourself, but also because of the unhealthy life that you've been living, it actually causes you to go through depression, to have fear and anxiety, cause all these things. Why? Because your body needs to be regulated. And when it's not regulated, or actually, believe it or not, dehydration. This is one of my goals, right? 64 ounces. I'm trying to drink at least once every day, right? 64 ounces of water. And actually, dehydration, if you're dehydrated, again, if you're not in a healthy state, if you're deregulated, dehydration causes depression. A lot of people don't realize this, but their body is looking for something, and what it has, it just releases whatever chemicals it can in efforts to try to get you to solve the problem. Unfortunately, we don't always know what the problem is. But if we do the best thing we can to create this healthy lifestyle, or to drink more water, to work out, to sleep better, to eat better, when we do these things, you're giving yourself a fighting chance to be able to identify where the problem is and change it. To have the most motivated you, the best version of you in 2025, it's going to require for you to stop giving up all these places, all these little battlegrounds that you have, and start facing them, start being real with it. And then ultimately, this is my favorite point, right? It's enhancing your time management skills. Because for me, I'm very punctual. One thing I'm good at is time management, and in certain places, right? But being able to identify where time management is necessary, what is actually real right now, and what is something that I'm just creating busy work. There's a saying, right? There's a lot of people that have motion but no movement. They're doing a lot. They're moving around. They have big fanfare and all these things, but nothing is changing. There is no progress in their life. They have a lot of motion but no movement. There is no change. If you can't manage your time, if you can't manage what's worth investing into, and this is even deeper than just like, the aspects of self-wealth or self-goodness or self-love, all these things which are important, but it's even the relationships we have people, right? We invest too much time in people that don't deserve that much time. We are willing to give of ourselves in places to serve people that don't serve us back, and then we realize why we don't have anything. There's no reciprocity. There's no energy being distributed there because we've poured so much into. We invested time into things that have shown us that they do not request our time. If you don't have time management, you don't know what's worth pushing into and what's not. If you're not cautious with you're going to be moving a lot. You're going to be jumping and tired and exhausted because there's a lot of motion but no movement. You jumped up and down, but you didn't go forward. And what we need to understand is that where we invest our time is where we invest our life. The thing that we have consistently pushed into, that's the thing that's going to take a chunk of your life, whatever that is. It might be a passion, hopefully it's your family or stuff like that. Whatever you're investing your time into, that thing is what you're investing your life into, because this is where you are for the chunk of it. So choosing to have good time management, it's not just about getting jobs or tasks done on time. Yes, that's a huge part, but it's also about the things that you've actually invested your life into, the things that you have made the most important and pinnacle part of what you do, because you have created this life around that. Where your time is, your life is. What you've invested so much into, that's the thing that will be the indicator of your life. That's the thing that you're going to say, okay, this is where I was. And this next year, that's going to be a huge factor, because where is your life going to be? Is it going to be in things that are useless and not helping you grow, or in things that are serving you and pushing you towards being the best version of yourself? And this leads us to that point. Our last point here is to invest in learning and development. You have to be willing to grow through things. You will never know everything, but this year could be a year that you learn a lot more, right? Because you've created and set yourself up in a way where you're able to invest in you, to grow and to learn what you need to be something that's self-reliant or self-sustaining. And actually, I lied. Our last point is practice gratitude and mindfulness. And I think this is actually how you change your entire life. When you change your scope of how you see things, you change the scope of how you live through things. When you have gratitude, you are able to look at life and say, well, okay, this is happening, and I can choose to see the negative in it, but I can also choose to be grateful for the good around it. I could choose to see the problem and make that problem the center point of everything that I see, or I can choose to have the problem and be grateful that there's so many other things in my life that I'm living with. And then I promise you, when you change your scope of vision, when you look for gratitude in things, you no longer remain in this wicked pain struggle that we tend to stay, because we tend to glorify the problem, and that's what happens. That it becomes the only thing in your life, and it's the only thing that you absorb and take in, and that's the only thing you live in. You say, well, look how bad my life is, and you make sure that you speak that into your life, that you speak it into existence in every aspect that you can, that you are not cautious of the tongue, because the power is in the tongue, Proverbs 4, right? You are focused on speaking negativity over you, and that's the only thing you'll ever become. Your brain is that powerful, by the way. It will believe what you tell it. So if you consistently look at things through the scope of ungratitude or being ungrateful, then you know what's going to happen, that your whole life is going to gravitate around that. You are going to be focused and geared towards that one thing. But when you start saying, okay, I'm going to be grateful for everything else, I have a flat tire, but thank God I have a car. I got fired from my job, but thank God I have unemployment. Like it's little things. It sounds like little ridiculous shifts, but these little shifts have a huge impact, because now every time you have an issue, you're not looking at the issue, you're looking at the good around it, and those things are now magnified. You minimize the problem. It might still be a problem, right? You still have to fix it, still solutions, but it doesn't run or ruin your life, because it hasn't become the focus of everything else. When you look through the scope of gratitude, the one thing that you are going to make sure that your life is grateful. You're going to make sure that your life is good because you're grateful for it. This year could be such a huge change. And this needs to be a season of change. This needs to be a year where that word, right, where you're not looking for movement, you're looking for motion. This needs to be a year where you're looking for gratitude, where the scope of everything you do is about the thing that you are and not the problem that's caused towards you. It's about being able to signify that your life is of abundance and not of the problem itself. Because when we look through the scope of ungratefulness, we were sitting there and looking at the problem and making it the pinnacle of everything we are. So this next season needs to be about that. It needs to be about change, about growth, about peace, about actually having genuine love in your life and living a life full of joy, right? And these are all fruits of the Spirit. So if you're living a life in that manner, you know that it's something worth living. It's a good life. This next season, 2025, it's about change. The question is that change going to be positive for you or negative?